Good morning. Happy Thursday, everybody. It is April 2nd, and welcome to our Natural Health News Live show. This is a live format, so I'm excited to have each and every one of you join me here today. And today we're going to talk about two very odd symptoms that are early indicators and even symptoms post virus. They're indicators of the virus and the actual invasion of the viral, basically the viral infection manifests in a lot of different symptoms, but these two odd ones affect over 80% of the individuals who have the virus or who have had the virus. So I'm excited to share this with you today because we are plagued here in the US with a lack of testing, and we don't always have all the access points for you to get the testing to even know maybe do you have it or do not. So this is highlighted in a lot of research, and I'll make sure to link to all of those down below. But that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to share with you, if you are quarantining and trying to heal at home with a milder case of the pneumonia, or you've been released, I'm going to share with you a really good sleeping position. So those are the three things we're going to talk about today. And welcome to all of you joining. I first wanted to tell you, thank you. I'm grateful. Please give me a thumbs up on this video, and on YouTube, if you'll hit the share button and comment, let me know where you're tuning in from, what part of the area, what part of the US, state, city, and even for all of our international viewers, tell me where you're tuning in from this morning. Good morning, everybody. For all of you new joining, I'm Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a naturopathic physician, and my core area of focus as a naturopath is functional medicine. Basically, what that means is we address the root cause of an assortment of illnesses and diseases within the body. And so our focus as naturopaths is to help the body naturally heal and recalibrate and balance itself. And that is where my focus as a naturopath really comes into play with prevention of illnesses, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and then also natural treatments and even natural methodologies to manage symptoms. So in this type of case where we have a very unique type of viral infection that attacks the lung tissue, there really are no medical protocols, and there are no tried and true naturopathic protocols. But what we do is we offer complementary resources, tips, tools, and techniques. And that's what you're going to find here on my YouTube channel, in my practice, on my website, and in our live show that's housed here on Instagram and YouTube. So welcome, everybody. First, I want to give a quick shout out to Lois, and I'll turn Instagram over here. Lois sent us, thank you, Lois. Lois sent us this really pretty, if you see that right there, actually, so that's on Instagram, and over here on YouTube, she sent us this beautiful card. It's a postcard from Hawaii. She lives in Hawaii, and it has a sea turtle on it. And Lois, you don't know the significance of the sea turtle, but when I was pregnant, and one of my friends who does a lot of photography and has done professional photos, we went out to do a professional photo shoot of me pregnant, and this was in St. Pete at one of our beautiful barrier reefs or barrier islands. It's called Fort DeSoto. It's at the end of the Pinellas County. And we came upon a sea turtle nest. Literally, the sea turtles were coming out. They were hatching, and we saw that before we even started our photo shoot. And so Gabriel has a very strong affinity to sea turtles, and that was so special. So I want to thank her. And I mentioned that because not only are we using our live show, and the format is very different with a live. I kind of mentioned this yesterday. This is live, and so it's very interactive and engaging. So a lot of you comment, and I comment and communicate based on what you guys are communicating to us. So it's very interactive. This is also available on the replay, both on YouTube. It's housed forever, so you can watch replay, fast forward, or whatnot. And on Instagram, it lives for 24 hours on the live story feed. And so one of the things that I want to communicate is this is a very different format. I start with the news, kind of give you some details, and I have a lot of news-related details today. Lots happened in the last day. And then the second part of the show, we talk a little bit about tips or techniques or things that I think would be helpful for you to employ that are functional medicine in focus or naturopathic in their leaning. And that I just want to put that out there, that this is a little bit of a unique show. So with that being said, I mentioned Lois's postcard because Gabriel is at home, and my little 4.5-year-old, and he's learning how to write and read. And we're going through geography because he's at home and I'm homeschooling like many of you. And so I'm using the opportunity for us to connect with all of you viewers as a way to also educate him. And it's really fun. It's been wonderful because we're writing notes and letters to folks who send us notes and cards and whatnot. So it's really fun. And so if you want our address, I have it listed in the description box below on YouTube and Instagram. Just DM me. And we love letters. So it's very exciting. You know, when you're 4.5, you get a letter and you get to open it. And so I obviously do cleaning, but whatnot. So that I just want to mention, thank you to Lois. So I want to go into I really want to start off with some positive news because I feel like we're not even at our peak here in the US, and the numbers are just quite extensive. Like we're at 216,362. That is up from yesterday by over 27,000. So we're definitely on the incline. And there's a lot of stuff we're going to cover today, but I want to share some positive news. And I think this will be something that might tip off some additional studies. And so we'll see if this ends up being something I report on in the future. But there are 2 individuals I want to highlight today that have survived the virus, and they're over the age of 100. Okay, so this is pretty phenomenal. There is an Italian woman. Her name is Italica, I think is her name. She was born in 1917, and she's 102 years old. And she, as an infant, survived the 1918 flu. And she survived the current virus. Oh, that's exciting. That's in Italy. Then yesterday, and it was reported early this morning, there's a gentleman named Bill in Oregon, and he is 104 years old, born in 1916. Bill has survived 3 major events. He survived the 1918 flu. He survived World War II. So he was a soldier, and he survived the current virus. And the report that I read on Italica, this was a few days ago, it said something like she might be the only and oldest who's actually survived 2 pandemics. Bill is the second one, and I would wager there might be additional ones. And I think that's interesting to note. There may be some potential antibodies at play. There might be some sort of calibration that surviving the 1918 flu did to their immune system. But isn't that pretty amazing? So can we give like a woo clap to that? Because at 102 and 104, traditionally, gosh, if they were to be at some of these health centers I reported, that they just kind of look at either your qualifications and age being one of them, they might not even have given them care. So I just want to applaud that, because I think that is something for all of us to lean on. It's such a positive thing. And this morning, I'm drinking my keto coffee. It's been a rough morning in the Gallagher Robinson household. Brian is, luckily we're okay right now, but his company is furloughing hundreds of people this morning. And so his team that he was tasked to grow and develop here in Georgia is okay because they're profitable, but there are other groups that are not. So it has been a trying 14, 18 hours in our lives. So nobody likes to hear that. Friends, people are going to be furloughed. So anyway, I started off with good news because I think I need it as well. I figured you guys too. Okay, so here's some other fun good news. I read an article about a whole assortment of therapy dogs that go into hospitals, they go into nursing homes, and they are on campuses for back at home, the University of South Florida, their medical program. I actually went through one of the master's programs through the school, and I know of the dogs that this one group provide services to the school and the students for relaxation. Well, therapy dogs apparently all across the US and I think also the world are going digital as well. And so their handlers and the people that, they live with the dogs and they are going into these facilities and groups. Some of them are going to the windows of the nursing homes and they're, just having the dogs say hi to the people. So they're continuing to provide care, but they've also set up Facebook groups and pages and even Instagram pages. So if you need a dose of some animal love and happiness, because animals totally give us therapeutic love, you can do that at a distance, and you can do that digitally. So I just want to put that out there. If you guys love dogs like we do, they apparently are taking tons of really cute photos. I saw a few of them in the article, and I'm going to be following a lot of these therapy puppies. So that's my good news. The other good news, I'm finally happy to report, and I have to apologize. Allergies are really kicked up big time here. We were outside. We got the mulch delivery yesterday. I was excited. I announced that to my private members on YouTube that are the yard guys were trimming trees yesterday next door. With that comes extra wood, and we always take the mulch just to recycle it. But also lots and lots of pollen, even though we had rain. So anyway, going back to some additional good news, both Florida and Georgia, so my home state, my state of birth, and then where we live here, they both have come on board with the reality of their situations and have issued stay-at-home orders. Florida goes into effect, I think tonight at midnight. I don't remember when Georgia goes in effect, but Georgia, the impact here is that for all of us parents, kids will be out for the rest of the school year. So we are going to be homeschooling, and there will probably be no summer camps either. So just give us lots of energy and prayers for the parents. We had one of a happy hour last night with one of my neighbors and a whole bunch of our friends. And we were like, oh man, it's going to be fun times. So anyway, Georgia is through the rest of the year, no school. Every school, like our private schools, figuring out what that means for like the 8th graders that are graduating and some of the testing that is required by the state. But that's big news. And let's just cross our fingers that this is, that they are striking still while they can make an impact. My thoughts, and I think a lot of the health professionals, they're about 3 to 4 weeks behind this stay-at-home order. And there are reports just everywhere. All these college kids that went on spring break to Florida, they all, like groups of them, 4, 6, in Texas and up in New York and Massachusetts, they all came to Florida or even Mexican beaches, and they're all sick. So craziness there. The CDC, to my video the other day, which by the way, I won the YouTube battle. So YouTube, we had an individual review of that video. And so they've monetized that video. So I'm fighting every day that they demonetize. It's this auto kind of demonetization. So when I do closed captioning, it instantly triggers whatever language I'm saying. They're sensitive triggers, and it demonetizes. So that video I highlighted, it's time to grab your masks. And for YouTube, I have links down below. I also want to announce that one of our friends at home, it's actually one of my patients, her daughter, she just lost her job about a week or 2 ago because of this crisis. And she sews great stuff. Like both her mom and her, Sarah, they have sewn tons of stuff for Gabriel. So we always get these beautiful gifts, and they're really colorful, artsy stuff. Well, she is making masks, and I had a conversation with her, and I was like, can I tell you what I think we really need? Like, I've seen masks, and I've ordered a whole bunch of masks, but I would really love a really pretty mask. But also, can you put like this thing in the nose so you can have it adjustable so you can seal this off? Because a lot of the ones I was seeing, you'd still have some seepage. So she's actually made some calibrations, and I just posted her link yesterday to the video. So if you want to support a small local business, actually everybody on Etsy, there are all small local businesses. And so I've got all of my Etsy links, all of the different brands or all the different stores, Etsy stores in YouTube. And also you can buy through the stores the filters. And so like I ordered, I think 50 or 60 filters and several masks that we're going to ship off. So Brian's parents are getting some cousins of ours that are in lockdown, they're getting them. So we're kind of covering everybody. I just ordered a whole bunch. To this note though, and now is the time to get it because it's going to be like the toilet paper run, friends. The California so California, the mayor of LA, so Los Angeles, the mayor of Los Angeles said to all 4 million citizens that he recommends that they all start wearing masks. And obviously masks is one layer of protection. Staying at home is another one, but we know people have essential jobs to do and we need them wearing masks. We know people are grabbing groceries if they have to and they don't have help, or delivery services. And they also have to get prescription medication and even still go see their doctors. If you're in a cancer phase and treatment, we have this little bug in here. You still have to go to your doctor. So it's important. It's not just about those who are sick now. And we're going to see more of this. So that's what the impetus of the other video was. And I'll recommend that you watch that. For YouTube, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm going to put a link up there where you can click on and watch that video. But we do need our masks that have a filter, that an insert to be able to get a filter. So you want to have multiple filters and you want to have, several layers of a cotton or some cloth sewn mask that covers the nose and the mouth and that kind of gives you a seal. And there are children's ones. So I posted the ones that I grabbed for Gabriel. They have really cute stuff. I even grabbed some ones that have little kittens for my one cousin that love kittens. Thanks, Dale. You censored yourself. Yeah, YouTube. YouTube's been apparently. I expect this because I'm in the health category as a channel. But apparently, I was on a feed where YouTube tells us what all's happening, and somebody was in like the children's books. They're reading books for kids because this is a big time. Kids are at home, and we're using YouTube as a resource. Okay, so those are some of the kind of good news. I want to go into some of the other crazy, and in the world of crazy news. So I have different categories here. I talked about toilet paper. I feel like the masks are going to be kind of where toilet paper was. But the good news is that a lot of people are producing these masks. Well, and I don't know if Anita's on here. Anita's our resident YouTube viewer who is a trucker, and she the other day was delivering medical supplies to nursing homes in New York, and she's been all over, and she's awesome. I saw in Texas on Highway I-20 yesterday that a truck, an 18-wheeler, went up in flames carrying toilet paper. So it's just crazy news. I think people are like torn up by that, like seeing it, and they're like, it went up really fast. The video of it was like this huge smoke. Okay, we have a question. Hi, Felicia. Felicia, I emailed out to everybody your lip balms yesterday. I was giving April 1st giveaway, and I put you in the little REM sleep sample. So try that out. The masks. So generally the masks now are anywhere from like, $9.99, $15.99 up to $30. Kind of depends on the store, the amount of production they have, or in the materials and things like that. But to be honest with you, I think that's kind of what is to be expected. In terms of a mask, you can rewash them. So like I just got 2 for everybody. So one we can wash, one we can be wearing if we need to. And for us, because we're staying at home, I've started to limit just the awareness that the range of a cough or sneeze can go up to 23 to 27 feet. I am waiting until I get these masks and the filters to be taking Gabriel and the dogs out on walks again. So I'm really being cognizant of that. I'm going to wait. But when I do get them all in, and Sarah's actually sending me one of her really pretty ones to put on camera as well, I will be using that. So like walking, going to get the mail, even when I'm cleaning off our packages, because the other thing is, the folks, they are, delivering our packages right at the door, but there's still like those plumes from their own, inhalation and exhalation. So Yanni Brown, hey Yanni, oh, she's moved from YouTube to Instagram. Love it. Okay. So the mask thing, This is highly disappointing because we don't have any type of functional like national clearinghouse that's buying and selling to all the parties that need resources here. Like our supply chain is quite broken down. There's a report that on Monday, 280 million N95 masks. Okay, we need these everywhere. And I have a lot of Instagram nurses, followers in the healthcare world that are like screaming, we need them. They're rationing one mask per professional at a hospital, which is so against guidelines. And a U.S. company sold 280 million masks to another country. They're shipping these out to other countries and not sending them where we need them. I don't know what is happening with that, but that's pretty darn insane. Wisconsin. So all of you who live in Wisconsin right now is refusing to call off their election next week, despite their numbers are on the rise. And yesterday in the happy hour, we had two of our friends live up in Wisconsin and Minnesota. And one of them is in the front line as a paramedic with the fire department. And they were talking about she was talking about all the different things that that are happening. And basically every call, she's like, has some sort of virus related situation. She said, the crazy calls have decreased and people really don't want to go to the hospital. So unless they absolutely have to, they're calling, which is good. But, the challenge is that we're trying to keep this minimized by staying home. So I think hopefully we'll see some movement there. Back in my hometown, Florida is always great for crazy news. Actually, less than half a mile away from where our house was in South Tampa is this big community church. Well, apparently the pastor decided he was going to refuse to adhere to the orders of not having, groups of 50 or 20 or 10 or more gather, and actually encouraged to have his parishioners join him and encouraged them to hold hands and like shake hands and stuff. So he has been arrested. And this is actually a major problem because apparently in Texas, the governor is still encouraging people to go to their churches. I did see reports that a priest had set up drive-through confessionals. So it's just really interesting. I know that a lot of church services have gone online. A lot of, denominations are moving where they've got their clergy and they're talking and they're doing their services online and they're reaching out to their people. So you can still practice, but being in the close proximity, I think is so dangerous. And, that is where I think we found, the guy in Florida was arrested. And luckily, I mean, if he endangers people, that's not the message that he's trying to put out. So it's hopefully going to stop, but I think Texas is definitely on the front line of encouraging that type of mass community gathering. So that's disturbing. And before we dig into the symptoms I want to talk about, I actually want to put out a challenge. I'm going to do this today. I haven't picked where we're going to do this. But I want to challenge each and every one of you today to order food and have it sent to your local medical facility, hospital, urgent care facility, all these people, even your fire department, police department. So I don't know what we're going to call it, but I want to call it like like a food challenge. So we're going to do that. And that we're going to call a local business that is still doing takeout deliveries. And we're going to send that to there's a local medical facility. And I know they're quite bursting at the seams. So I have a cousin of ours that is a nurse in Sarasota. And I saw her post the other day. Her aunt had sent in, her aunt and her husband, her aunt and uncle had sent in food for her whole squad of nurses. And like the gratitude, they were like so beyond excited. And I've even read another article that a lot of these professionals are not even stopping to feed themselves, and they for sure aren't leaving the hospital. So I'm going to encourage you, if you guys feel so inclined, let's do it as this kind of a natural health resources community, an NHR challenge to send food to your local for frontline providers, nurses, fire department, police department, send them lunch. I think it's such a great uplifting way to support our community. Anita's on. Hey, Anita. Okay, so let's go ahead. I just want to say hi to everybody. Victoria says, today to keep my job, which I have a CDL and I move trailers full of food. Oh, great, Victoria. I have to go to a factory with hundreds of workers to read about safety. Gosh, I hope they're giving you safety equipment when you do that. I actually saw a posting of a woman down in Miami that had gone to this local food service company. A lot of like Disney in Orlando, all the Disney parks are giving their food away because, the parks are going to be shut down. And so there are these clearinghouses that are connecting people with food. And she was like, I made my own hazmat suit. And she literally had like a garbage bag, like kind of a makeshift like hair mask thing. And she had like her scuba goggles on. It's not funny, but the reality is like, that's what we have to do. And so however you can protect yourself, I think is important. So I'm seeing lots of comments about my necklace. Thank you. This is actually one of my local boutiques. She lends me jewelry. I end up buying it for my videos and even clothing and photo shoots and stuff. And I'm a really great customer because I love everything that she has in her store. She's been closed for a while. All right. So Lynn Marie Hardy says, I live in Texas and Abbott said it's okay, but they will enforce the 10-person rule. Okay. That's right. I did read that they were encouraging the social distancing. I don't even know how that works. How does that work? Like if you have a Sunday service, and do they do like blocks of 10? I don't know. Pat says, my husband has an essential job at a government installation, but they're shutting down for a while. Good. Be safe. Employers are to stay home. Carol says, I live in Texas and that's not right. Churches here are, let's see, where are you? Churches here are closed and having services outside in their cars. Okay. I did see I saw this nationally, but I will say the governor has made statements that he is not planning on recommending like other states' governors to shut down those services. And there are some that are like staunch, but I'm glad to hear that they're having services. I think the CBS Sunday Morning reported one of those, like at a drive-in. Let's see. Says he recommended the idea for people to go to church, but stay in and around their cars for Easter, keeping the 10-foot rule. I still think that's risky. I mean, honestly, with the reporting that came out, the plumes, the cough and sneeze plumes, they go 23 to 27 feet. 10 feet's not enough. It's just not enough. And then if you roll your window down, that's all coming in. Unless you keep your window up and you tune into a news network, that is safe. That would be safe. Yvonne, today Chipotle is donating burritos. Yay, to healthcare workers for National Burrito Day. That's great. I'll write that down. National Burrito Day. Love it. Yvonne, you know what, Yvonne, I'm just going to recommend read some of the articles on it. He is not discouraging services. So I'm not trying to offend any of the folks that are, supportive of any of the religious groups, but, it is definitely something that we need to be aware of, and encouragement of any type of gathering is negligent at this point. All right. Kim says, love our local businesses, support local. I'm not going to encourage. Lynn Marie, I'm going to recommend you read it. It's out there. He is not discouraging, and having 10 people still gathered is still not recommended. Plain and simple, period. So end of that debate. Okay. All right. So let's move on to two symptoms that they're very odd symptoms where they're showcasing for a lot of people after the fact, but they're also coming on. Particularly one symptom is indicative of the virus, and it's 80% of the individuals across the world who've been tested positive with the virus, they all experience a loss of smell. So the loss of smell is an indicator that you either have the virus, and this is most important for these asymptomatic, because that's the big thing. Asymptomatic cases, a lot of people are not necessarily going to showcase 101 fever. They might not get a cough. They might not get pneumonia. They might feel kind of achy. The assortment of symptoms that I posted here, I think over the weekend, but they feel fine and they think they're fine. And, when they're not masking up and they're not avoiding crowds, regardless of 10 or less, they should all be staying home. That's the safest approach. They could be spreading the virus. And that is very, very challenging. So loss of smell is really key. And so if you or anybody kind of is like feeling run down or I'm not sure, ask them, can you smell? And try the smell. Can you smell the coffee? Can you smell the, flowers outside? Can you smell your perfume or your deodorant? Things that are kind of, your soap. Those are the everyday things that you want them to be aware of, to be cognizant of maybe that this is a symptom. And this would be something where if they could just get tested, it would give us ability to do the tracing that's necessary. But loss of smell, and with that comes loss of taste. And the loss of taste is something that is very, very important for people to note, that it is very common, when you're stuffed up and congested, that you can't smell anything or taste anything. So it's something like people we're not tuned into, but it's lasting. And in fact, at minimum 10 days after recovery. So after you tested positive, negative for 2 tests, which is usually within a 48 hour time frame, you go back home, you quarantine a little bit and you recover. But the lack of taste and smell lingers for a while. So just be aware of these 2 symptoms, that if you have maybe you had a situation where you thought you had the flu, maybe you did or didn't get tested, or maybe you did and it was negative, and you're like, did I have the virus? That's a big question people are asking themselves. The lack of smell and the lack of taste are the 2 odd, weirdo symptoms that can begin at the point of transmission, as the virus is taking effect. Most of the time it's going to begin here in the sinuses, in the throat, and then it infiltrates the lung tissue. So that is something that I think is very, very important to note. And I have a comment here. Sis Bilk, it's allergy season. Have always lost smell and taste. When I first wake up till I drain or on the verge of sinusitis, shaking my head. Yes. So that's the other challenge, is that it's very common to experience potentially that with allergies. The inflammation of our passageways can minimize the nerves and our ability to sense our senses, smell and taste. But if you find it's okay when you first wake until you get drainage, but you get some sense of it, it might be, 50% production of your smell and taste. That's an indicator that you're okay. But if it doesn't come back, after you get drainage going, that's an indicator that you might have had the virus. It's definitely an odd symptom. They don't list this on the, the comparison page from the CDC, but it's definitely something we need to be aware of. And to the point of that, I actually have highlighted this before, but I'll continue to kind of highlight some resources that you can, use to at least help kind of minimize some of the inflammation in the sinus passageways. So obviously the saline spray, I think, is most important. Okay. Saline spray is great for allergy season. It gets dust and yucky, gunky particles out of your system. It'll kind of eradicate, the pollen that's kind of building up in the sinuses and minimizes the kind of inflamed state. Doing a saline spray, several times by, spraying 2 sprays up the nostril, inhaling, and then letting it kind of settle in. Never blow your nose after an neti pot or a saline spray. Okay. And Kim, I'm going to get to that. So the saline spray is number 1. Within 5 to 10 minutes, so usually I'll do a saline spray as soon as I wake up. So for Sis Bilk, this would be something right when you wake up. Then 10, 15 minutes later, it's called Xlear. This is a xylitol-based saline spray. And the xylitol is an antibacterial. And it also is an anti-inflammatory. So it's a good way you can do. I just do one spray, and I have this whole process during the allergy season here, especially now. Gabriel we play outside all the time. So I got him a soccer net, and he's hitting balls in the soccer net and kicking them. We spend a lot of time outside and inhaling. I do this in between our time being outside as well. But Xlear, that is really good. I've got some links down below to that. That is I think, very helpful, and also will minimize some of that congestion that happens back here in the back of the neck, the postnasal drainage. But allergy season is huge. BLK. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Let's see here. So John asked, sodium nasal spray works very well for, yes. Yeah, rituals are huge. Yeah, neti pot with Himalayan salt is really great. Okay, so Felicia has a quick question. Vanya is coming in from Costa Rica and Jerusalem. Yay, I love our international community. Okay, so Felicia said, I heard if you had the virus, you can get it again. So there have been cases, and actually I reported last week a case of an individual who had been hospitalized, ventilated, tested negative, went home, had symptoms again, came back, got tested, and was positive. So he had a positive, 2 negatives, was released, went home. I don't recall the listing of the time in between, but he did test positive. So the question is it the testing? Is the testing accurate? Or can you get it again? We do know there are 2 strains. There's an S and I think an L strain. What does that mean? We are so early in the virology and understanding the mechanics and the mechanism of this. I don't know if we know that answer. And it is kind of crazy. Let's see. Jana. Hey, Jana. She said, odd. At first, I thought odd was code for something like the 3-letter botanical. Yeah. Oh, you guys are cute. Okay, so let's see. We've got lots of so saline Himalayan salt is really good. The other thing that I really enjoy, and Sis Black, you might actually like this, the pink Himalayan nasal saline inhaler. So this is really great. Like I do this right before I go to bed, but you got to stick it right up to your nostril and inhale. And it just kind of, you can feel the saline and you can feel the aromatics. So it has aromatherapy, it has menthol, it has eucalyptus. You can feel it swirling in these passageways, and then it just kind of opens up. So, and we have Lynn Marie, pretty sure myself, husband and daughter had the virus at the end of February. First, my daughter 3 days later than me. All of us experienced stomach gastro, no taste, no smell. Yeah. So in that type of situation, we're not there yet. Although yesterday there have been some announcements that we were really pushing forward for antibody testing. That would be a situation where I think a lot of us are going to need, when we are allowed to go get tests, we're going to need to get you antibody tested and identify, do you have the markers of having had exposure? And what the idea is, why we're trying to really fast track that right now, is because so many healthcare professionals are so poorly PPE protected. So the personal protection equipment is so lacking. We have 280 million masks and PPE stuff going elsewhere and not being utilized by our professionals, that they are putting themselves at risk and they are getting sick. One of the things that I think is key is that as we get antibody testing, we'll know who can possibly be on the front line. But to Felicia's point, if you can get it again, how effective is that? So there are so many unknowns that we just don't know. So I saw a question, where can you get the pink Himalayan inhalers? DM me. I can connect you up with this. And there are 2 types. There's the little purple, little thing. That's the purple is lavender. And I actually have a little picture of lavender. And then they have a green one, which is a cool mint. Really, really nice. Very powerful at opening up the sinuses. And for me, it's helping me deal with the allergy. So, I have this whole routine. I do this, then I do this, and then I inhale. We each have a bottle in our house for each person. I have Gabriel on this. It's the Zarbee's nasal mist with vitamin C in it. He particularly gets a lot of fluid in his ears from allergies. And he's in growth mode, like he's been eating a lot and he's just growing. Okay, so Alyssa said, oh no, I thought the saline was supposed to drain from one nostril out the other. I have to give those people I told the new directions on how to use it. Okay, so let me clarify. You can use the saline misting in 2 different ways. Okay, so you can just do 2 squirts and then it kind of stays up. Or, and you'll use a lot of the bottle, you can use it if you know, so that you can use it like a neti pot where you put this in and then you just have constant spray and it'll go up and it'll go out the other nasal passage, as long as you aren't too congested. So you can, Alyssa, and anybody who wants to use your saline nasal spray like a neti pot, you can. I just use them differently. Like I have an neti pot and I use distilled water. I warm it up a little bit and then I add a really fine pink Himalayan salt. I also use, I put drops in of colloidal silver, and there's a really nice, Himalayan Institute has this neti wash. Actually, let me make a note to put that in the description for you guys. So I have that link, the neti wash. I used to sell this at my clinic all the time, especially during allergy season. And Florida has all those live oaks, and oh my God, they just like, you just see these like little pollen things falling. Okay, so, oh, you found the Hemily Saw Inhaler at Dollar Tree? Holy cow, multifaceted me. That's pretty impressive. So lovely fee 42307. My son tried it per your recommendation and he loved it. Yay! That's awesome. X Bluebell says the company Lilly is testing the frontline medical workers in Indianapolis, and 15% of them are testing positive. Shoot. Amazon's out of stock. I'll check my links. Let me check, because there's several different vendors, and I know Amazon's being weird with what they're accepting now from vendors. Like I work with a lot of different brands, and some are considered essential products and others are not. So some of that, like Amazon closed down and said, we're only going to be stocking like toilet paper and paper towels and food products and all the other kind of essential like medical needs. It should be listed as a medical need, but depending on the vendor, if it's not just, they might carry a lot of other products. Okay, so yoga breathing, yeah, saline is so good. Okay, so Gina says, do you think grapefruit seed extract is effective? So right now, nothing's been proven. And this is both in the conventional medical category, nothing's proven to fight this virus. And in the functional medicine, naturopathic world, nothing's been proven. We have no data. We know that China was using vitamin C, like infusions of vitamin C, and they were showing some positive signs of recovery. Is that a substantial clinical trial? I mean, at this point, we're 3 months into this. This is like infancy. And the challenge is everybody wants we are in our fast food world, right? Like we want an instant quick fix. We want an instant quick pill. We want the one thing that's going to fix it. This doesn't exist. And I think this overall is such a great reminder that, we can't solve everything with the quick fix, but we do need to keep our bodies healthy. We do need to support our immune system. We need to continue to get good sleep. We need to exercise. We need to get out. We need to ground. We need to do de-stressing exercises. We need to eat super healthy, hydrate really well. The odds are 40 to 70% of we're going to get it. It's just a matter of when and how extreme is it in our body. We can limit that. I'm going to limit us as much as I can until we can figure out how can we address this. But right now, there's nothing noted clinically as effective. We know that grapefruit seed extract is a very good antiviral. It's very good for supporting our immune system. That's all we know. And so it is one of the things that we can put in our toolbox of resources. I prefer to look at a much more extensive and expansive. As a naturopath, I look at, again, kind of highlighting what I do. I look at the full body, and everybody, like yesterday's video was all about the top 3 symptoms or the top 3 underlying conditions that are hardest hit by this virus. Those are the conditions that we need to really ramp up the support for. We need to help the body balance and manage those conditions so that if and when you do come down with a virus, the impact is not so great because you've fortified and helped to offset that underlying health condition. Am I saying you're resolving or curing that health condition? No. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that that is as balanced as it can be so that the hit from the virus is not so imbalancing, if that makes sense. So things that we can use would vary. And so I'm not trying to really refrain from just saying this is one thing that's so great for everything. I do know for a lot of our autoimmune candidates, our autoimmune patients and viewers, the immune modulators like chaga and astragalus, those are really powerful at balancing your body. The autoimmunity is in its own category, and then we get a virus. There's the autoimmunity that starts really ramping up the immune system. So for instance, if there is an herbal or botanical that is going to ramp up your immune system, you don't want to take it if you have autoimmunity. So everything is it has to be so individual, as I always try and recommend. Everybody's case is so different. Let's see. Always see. Then Marie says, my husband's job, he makes sanitizers and cleaners. Oh, that's great. Okay, he's required to wear an N95 mask. That's great. And they made 10,000 masks at a local hospital here. That's fantastic. I know some of our local breweries here in the area. We have a lot of microbrews, and particularly at home, like St. Pete is this huge like microbrew. It all kind of exploded really fast in the last 10 years. It's a beautiful place to visit if you really love like good local food vendors and really, really, really awesome art and culture. I saw 3 or 4 different microbreweries totally switch production. Even like the Ybor City Rum Company, they're making sanitizer, and that's great. And even Instacart messaged that if you place an Instacart order now, you can actually buy Instacarts connected with a local producer, which is huge. On hydration, please address distilled water, blinked at market, and grab 6 gallons. Okay. So distilled water is void of a lot of the electrolytes. The way you could utilize, in the event that if you, this is for anything, if you're ever out of regular like spring water or, filtered water and you get distilled water, the way to make it healthy or drinkable, so it doesn't kind of be a shock to your system. I don't advise drinking distilled water. But you could add drops of liquid ionic minerals. And I highlighted yesterday, I use that to balance a lot of diabetics. And just all of us, we need good mineral enhancements, but that you could add to it. I wouldn't add the minerals in the plastic bottle. I would add it to each glass that you would drink. And I would even add some oxygenation, like cell food to it to really enhance it. All right. So Lois says our vodka distillery, Ocean Vodka, is making hand sanitizer. Yeah, I think, the good news is that the distilleries, they've got the equipment. They just have to switch up the lines and it's easy for them to, get the base ingredients, which is fantastic. Okay. So those are 2 of the odd bird weirdo symptoms: loss of smell, loss of taste. Okay. So just know that. Now, the second thing, and I know we had at least one viewer yesterday who was tested positive. She's at home trying to quarantine. She has a mom in her 90s that had a valve replacement and her husband's 68 with diabetes. And so this is a classic situation because we are not structured like some of these other countries where if you test positive, you go to a quarantine location and be quarantined so that we protect your core unit, your core family. So with that being said, some of the things that I think would be helpful, especially for folks that are prone to bronchitis, pneumonia. It's really important that we think about how we're sleeping. So one of the things that occurs with pneumonia, and I actually read this, there's some the medical providers are forced to think outside the box right now. I mean, they have an overload of patients and it requires some innovation. And this could be really great for our medical community overall in the long run. One of the innovations that they're seeing for the way the lungs get attacked, and it's an acute respiratory syndrome where the lungs literally kind of get locked down with fluid, and there's this cellular texture. It's almost like this fibrotic kind of nature of the lungs, just how we see it on the CT scan. It looks really wacky. And that's the identifier. The true identifier is the lung CT scan. What happens is if you sleep in a certain position, you can actually enhance your lung draining. So I have a video that I'm like halfway done with. I've got some of it edited. I need to shoot some of my demo, but I have a demo. It's partly inspired by Sunday's video where I kind of show you how to like do your own lung draining exercise. But one of the things that I read were doctors were actually putting people in a prone position. And there's always been a lot of debate, like with babies, do you put a baby in a supine or prone position when they sleep? But one of the things that I think is really important to note that you can do this yourself. And this could be great for any of you with asthma or bronchitis or even, walking pneumonia or any of the pneumonias that you've been sent home and you're managing. What they find is that when we're in supine, so supine is back, so you sleep on your back, this is supine. Prone is where your belly down. So your head's kind of on the side. It's not, I'll be honest with you, I don't recommend this always. Supine is not great for your neck or your cervical alignment, but it is very powerful because when we lie supine, and most of the time people are in a hospital bed lying on their back, we get lots of cases of bed sores and stuff because that's the position. It tends to be very challenging for a case of pneumonia or even bronchial congestion because the fluid actually can go to the healthy parts of the lung and cause a restriction in oxygen flow. So what this particular kind of innovation is, they're actually not this isn't everywhere, but they're starting to look at some of these cases, as long as they can intubate and they can ventilate appropriately and manage this, they're putting people in a prone position. So they're flipping them over and they are letting them be, they're helping the drainage so that the lungs don't get clogged down so much. And I haven't seen, again, this was just a little brief kind of assessment of like all these kind of innovations that are happening. I mean, even like all the IV lines are now, not everywhere, but sometimes they're running IV lines in the hallways. So nurses don't have to go into each room. So they don't have to, like, literally the way this works is every time you go into a new room, you have to change out your PPE. So if they have the IV lines, say there's 2 patients per room, or an ICU is usually 1, you'd have all of these people, all the IV machines outside in the door, and they can just run from one to one to one to one and, replace the fluids, do injections or whatnot. So those are innovations. Same thing with the sleeping in a prone position. So they'll put some of the folks on ventilation in a prone position. I think there's going to be more we're going to hear in that kind of innovation. But for you at home, if you have a lot of that coughing congestion, it could be a very powerful way to help your body, help your lungs drain by sleeping prone, belly down. You sleep on a pillow. I actually have a vendor that is going to sponsor one of our morning shows. I'm very excited. They have this bamboo pillow. So I'll highlight that. I'll talk more about sleeping and whatnot. But sleeping on your tummy can help your lungs drain. And that's really, really powerful. So Pat said, I can't sleep lying down. I could not sleep lying down when I had pneumonia. I don't know what David Craig said. Okay. And Dale says ARDS is no joke. It really is no joke. It's very, very, it it changes the texture, and what it does, it hardens the lungs. So just think about, like, our lungs are like, they're so mobile, and you know, that's like a balloon. Just imagine a balloon that becomes like this glass almost. And it's very, very, it's terrible. Okay. So, all right, let's see here. Joanne says, does anyone know where or what name on that sells has the mask and filters? Okay. So Joanne, it's an Etsy link. So click on the description box. There should be like a little arrow. Click on that and you'll see I have where to buy face masks. And there's a lot. Oh, he was a troll. Okay. Thanks, you guys. We have a moderator, Pat's on our wonderful moderators. Okay. So those are my tips. I want to end again on the happy note. One, I'm challenging each and every one of you to, if you can financially afford to, consider buying food, lunch, you know, having lunch ordered in and sent to your local fire department, police department, your local hospital, medical facility. I think that would be such a great way for us to give positive energy, support, and literally nourishment to our local frontline professionals. I know Atlanta in our metro area is definitely, we are a hot spot. I mentioned we have one of our gym participants. She's a frontliner at one of the hospitals that Brian had been to, and they are just bursting at the seams. So actually we might send stuff to them, just knowing like they did such good care with him. But I think that's really important. So I'm putting that out there, local food challenge for our medical providers and frontliners. And then also on the positive note, go check out some therapy dogs online. So they all have digital accounts and Facebook, and I think that's positive. Carol says, did you hear about the hemolung? I heard a doctor talking about this. Surgeon has to place a line through the neck with local anesthetic, and then the patient can still be awake, alert, and eat. I have heard of that. I've also sadly heard that some of the facilities in New York, they are running out of the disposable surgical knives for the intubation. It's just so crazy. Okay, so Yvonne says, new CPAP machines being made by Formula One. Oh, I have to tell Brian this. He got really hooked. Hey, Brian, he got really hooked into, I think I saw him come down. He got really hooked into, hooked on one of the Netflix shows. It's like a Formula One show. And he made me watch like one or two episodes. We also got hooked on Netflix, the Tiger King. The one lady is from Tampa. I know her. It's kind of crazy. I didn't know the whole backstory. And then we are totally jonesing, our full on binging on Ozarks. So that's interesting, the CPAP. I had a question yesterday. Somebody asked about the BPAP machines, and I've seen advisements to not do that because of just the amount of viral burden. But I have to read more into that. So I'm not as knowledgeable on that. Multifaceted me with SFB. My brother drives transport for Grady Memorial, and he just says stay home. Yeah. So it's really crazy. All right. So friends, we are totally coming to the end of our show. So I've got almost 180 of you on YouTube. Please give me a thumbs up if you found this helpful. Those two odd symptoms, they're really kind of a telling sign. And it might also be a workaround, given that the fact that we are so short on testing, for people to be kind of self-reliant in terms of quarantining and staying at home. I'm hoping we'll have more people in the quarantine mode. And it sucks, but we're doing this for the greater good. And yeah, so Ozarks, we love it. So friends, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned in for tomorrow's show. Tomorrow is Friday. So super excited. And I will be posting more videos. I'm going to try and shoot more videos today. It's a little unmotivated. Just we're going with the flow. Minimal kind of expectations on ourselves with some of the stress. So I'm going to try and get out more content for you all. And thank you again for participating. And for all of you on YouTube, please hit the like, share it. And then when this wraps up, it really helps this, especially my appeal process on the demonetization, if you comment. So that totally helps. And on Instagram, just hit like the little screen grab. And if you could post your stories and tag me at Natural Health Resources and share with your friends and let them know to join us on tomorrow's show. All right, Instagram, I will see you guys later. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Kim. Bye, everybody. Bye, Pat. All right, so Instagram is done. Let's see if I can save it. So YouTube, thank you. What a great, really, it was a little kind of an odd show. I just wanted to really highlight those symptoms, but I think they're really telling. And I don't know why those are the symptoms, but I think we'll learn more as this kind of progresses. But again, thanks, friends. Thanks, Dale. Oh, and let me remind you. So for our YouTube members, so we have a private YouTube member community. If you want to be a part of it, it's just $4.99 a month. And I create different content and engage with our community like Mom to Max and Angie. You are a new member, so welcome. So this Saturday or Sunday, friends, I'm gonna send out a poll on the community tab. But we are going to have a live Q&A for just our YouTube community members. So we'll look for that. I posted a video too as well. And thanks, basketball fan. So check that out and vote on it. And then we'll pick Saturday or Sunday. And I will go into all different types of questions. I know a lot of you have other health related questions, and we'll totally dig into that as well. So that's where we can do that. And I'm super excited to have a good day. Be inspired, be well, stay home, and make sure you grab a mask. Grab the links down below, because that's also supporting a lot of local vendors and local folks that are trying to do good at home, staying at home, making protective gear for us who are, walking and going about our day in the stay-at-home mode. So thanks, friends. Be well, stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.